Ladies and gentlemen, it's been about a year of using the CINEBACK on the Canon R5C. I have no affiliation with the company. I can say whatever I want to about this product. I have put it through its paces over the last year, all kinds of different projects, and again, this is just for the Canon R5C, but I want to express what I think of it after having used it for a year, where I love it and where it falls short a little bit on certain things. So here we go.
In a world where nuclear war has begun, vampires fought back in super real 3D.
Okay, so first of all, just to understand how I have been rigging this out. This is different than when I first got it and made the first video. I've got a better microphone, but it's still not XLR. I was going to go that route, but it's one more thing to put on with like a Tascam unit. And to be honest, I was having so much success already with an old ass video micro by Rode. It was like, they may not even sell that exact model anymore, and it was still like doing pretty good. So I upgraded to the NTG. Now I have two Rode NTG 4s, which are better. Those are XLR mount mics, but this is just, again, a little headphone jack microphone. And honestly, it's pretty damn good. And it keeps it lighter. So I've gone with it. It's just one less thing to keep up with. What I've also now put on here is I have this little Nitsy holder for my Tentacle Sync timecode device. So that way, along with my Tentacle Sync wireless units, of which I'm using some COS 11, some Sanken COS 11 microphones. Those are fantastic. I really would like to get a couple more of those for some other units. But anyway, this is a time code on there, so that's really nice, especially between the two Canon R5Cs, having time code into both of them. I have them mounted up with these little units. But on this CINEBACK, it just fits a lot better than how I have it mounted on my other Canon that kind of lives back and forth between a Ronin and a different rigged state. And I'll talk about that in a minute too. And then I've got the Tilta wooden handle. I went with the left side because I wanted the right side hand available to grab all the functionality of record, start, stop, focus, options, adjust ISO really quickly, aperture, etc. I just want to access all the buttons that are available with my right hand, use my left hand for stabilization. And then this just a small rig handle, and then I've got an Edelkrone EVF holder that's then holding a port keys. I don't even remember which model this is, honestly. It's the LH5P. This ain't a great monitor, but what it is good for is that it's very bright. So I can see in daylight, no problem. I've had no issue in any daylit environment seeing this monitor. It gets bright and it's cheap, and that's all I kind of really need. So I went with that, and then I've got a Neo Gold Mount is the version that I have, guys, by the way. They have the V mount. Most people get V mount, but I had invested in so much Gold Mount batteries over the time that I have the Gold Mount battery here. But these Neos are great. They're just really comfortable and don't get in my way at all whenever I'm filming. So that's basically my setup for my CINEBACK. So those are like additional things that I've added on. The CINEBACK itself is just this box style unit. Now, what do I think of having used it for the last year? First of all, why do you want one of these things? Well, you might want that box style camera experience with your Canon R5C. And it is a better shooting experience to have that form factor for more stable shots, shots that you can hold into your body better for more points of contact. Also, it simulates more what you're used to with film. You know, for all the generation that we've been growing up through it, for most of us, it's a lot of a bigger camera, heavier, and that size and form factor and weight all adds to the look and appearance of the shake and motion of the camera. This supplies all that. You know, there's a reason that the Cine versions of these camera lines are all kind of gravitating in the direction of that box style form factor. It's extremely modular, but also it's just it's kind of like the right form factor. It feels the best to me. So immediately landing into this, it made my Canon feel a lot better. I'm much happier with the shots that I'm getting with it when using this. But I am a cheater. I have also simultaneously, right in that same month, and I made a video about this a month later, have been using the Sakk. You know, you don't need to use the Sakk. You don't have to use this, and you definitely don't have to use this brand per se. I mean, this is just a Cine saddle. Okay, the one that I got was the Sakk, and this satchel that hangs over allows for the camera to just sit in this, and it takes all the weight off and puts it on your shoulders, and you can flip it over onto the other shoulder. The combination of these two things together, I'm done, baby. I mean, it's so nice. It's the best handheld experience that I have had in all my years of filming. I've been filming for over 20 years, and I have a Red Epic Dragon, and I've been using the CineBack with the Red Epic Dragon as well, but the bottom line is that thing is still really heavy in comparison to this Canon setup. Even though it's in the CineBack and it's gotten bigger, it's still light. It's like this beautiful balance between being just heavy enough that's like, oh, this feels like a legit camera, that gives me that motion canter that I'm looking for and the form factor to hold it into those multiple points of contact that I want. It all hits there, but it's not too heavy. And if I needed to, I can pull the camera out, and I've got it in this light rigged mode. Now, here's the thing that I would point out. I have not pulled this camera out of this CineBack once. I have two Canon R5Cs, and part of the reason I decided to get another Canon R5C instead of getting something like the C400 was because I wanted to upgrade to a CineBack or a cinema body that was still in the Canon line, most likely, and that's kind of where I was gravitating towards. I made a whole video on that, and I ended up going with the Canon R5C because of the specs and this and that. But the CineBack is part of the decision making that I went with to go with another Canon R5C, because I wanted that form factor for not only me, for not only my shooting experience, but also I needed something that looked a little bit more legit for clients. I just do, My clients are not people that hire me directly just to film. My clients are people that hire me to make entire branding campaigns and multiple videos or documentaries on what's happening, for something that they're getting built or their company. And so I'm in charge of the whole thing. I'm doing the editing, the directing, the interviews, everything. Nobody is asking me what camera I'm using. They just look at my portfolio. They say, wow, I love this. I like the way it's edited. I like the way it looks. That's what you're going to get. I'm going to give you that. And that's what they get. They get that because the Canons compete with the Red. Sometimes I've been shooting more with the Canons lately. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole. I've talked about it too much on this channel. You can check out other videos for that. But the CineBack was a major driving factor in me deciding to go with just another Canon R5C, because I thought, if I put this into this is just going to look like a cinema camera to most clients. And now I've gotten to use it for a year. And the result is it absolutely does. I have yet to have one client notice that this is the same camera as the smaller one that's on top of the gimbal, or that's rigged in a different way that's much smaller. They all refer to this one as the big one. And most of my clients that I've had for years, they just assumed it was still the Red because they're not looking at what camera it is. They just see this giant contraption set up, and it looks legit, and they don't even think about it. And they get the end result, and it looks great. All my clients are happy, and they hire me again. So this solved that hurdle. It looks like I'm using a cinema body, and then I've got this smaller one for on the go. How often does this also fool people? I just got back from a shoot in Detroit, and I thought this was funny. Fox was doing an interview with one of my clients that I was making a documentary on, and they were interviewing him about a subject. It has to do with car build, and that video will be out in a couple of months. Real exciting project. And I'm filming the behind the scenes of that because that's cool for my documentary to show that this car draws this much attention, that Fox is doing this interview. They've come out. We're at the front of this whole big giant car show, and the car's in the spotlight. And then the client that's being interviewed by Fox, who's also my client, makes a joke about me having, I'm not as intimidated about doing this interview with you because I had to do it with that big thing yesterday, because he's not used to doing interviews. And he points over at me holding my camera. Somebody else made a joke about the BTS guy, in this case me, ironically, but I'm filming a full documentary, not just a clip for Fox. And how I have the big camera and they're using the small one. What were they using? They were just using like a Sony a7 IV or something like that. And even the shooter for Fox looked over and is like, yeah, well, I like to have a small camera because, you know, you can just get it in and out of situations easier in crowds and stuff. So it works for me. So he got a little defensive. He got a little shy. He did not identify that this was just a mirrorless camera in this body. So he didn't notice either, because people aren't looking that hard. You know, the people that are looking hard, maybe your situation is different. If you're being hired directly for the camera that you have bought, that you have to offer, then so be it. That is not my situation. I don't think that's a lot of people's situations. Okay. So this does fool the client. Now, I did not get this just to fool the client. Like I said, I like the form factor. I went on for that for a couple of minutes before I went into this other side tangent of what's cool about that. But that is a real thing. That is a real thing for clients. They think that it is a more legit camera than the small one. I know. I've put them side by side. They're filming on 2 tripods, one after the other. Everyone thinks these are 2 different cameras. So it does fool people in that regard. They're not going to be more impressed if it's a C400. They're just not. I'm offering 8K resolution instead of 6K resolution. It's a great camera. It's insane that it is the price that it is. Now, I know Canon, by the time I release this, maybe Canon's made the announcement about whatever other new camera they're coming out with, which is great. But it also is probably going to allude to a lower price on the Canon R5C on the used market too. So just keep that in mind. These cameras are insane. Okay, the negative. The one thing that I've had issue with, and I mentioned it in the previous video that I made on the first review of this thing, is that if you're using the Canon version of the Vari-ND filter that goes on the lens adapter for a Canon RF to EF, it is a little hard to get to that focus, your variable wheel, so you can adjust the intensity of your ND filter. And at first I thought it was like, it's just a little bit annoying, but there has literally been times where I haven't been able to get to it because my cable might have been dressed in a certain way for the particular last rigging that it was set up in, and I couldn't quite reach it, and I'm reaching around to try and touch it. That is annoying. That is the biggest gripe that I have. Now, can I get around it? Yes. I get used to it over the course of the shoot day, and I get quicker back at it. The more you use it, the more you'll get used to it. It's still not as comfortable as just being able to immediately access it. But being able to run my monitor and my camera off of the one battery for like 4 and 5 hours at a time on a 90 watt battery is fantastic. Some people are happy with the LPE6Ps, the newer ones that came out with the Canon R5 II, and you can use them in the R5C, and that's fine. I got 4 of those specifically for my gimbal work, which is great, but it does not last as long. I mean, you're going to get like, your hour and a half, maybe. But this like one battery will power both your monitor and your camera for at least like 3+ hours, if not 4 hours. So that's a pretty big difference, and one of the things that I do like about this. If you only have one Canon R5C and you like to do gimbal work and you like to go back and forth, I don't know. I haven't, I put this thing together a year ago. It wasn't super hard, but it did take a minute. It would be another step to have to pull the camera out and reroute everything. I could see that being a problem. Now, if you know that you're going to use it in a Cine version the majority of the time, it just is great. I mean, it really does elevate the Canon R5C, in my opinion, to a different camera, which it sounds so silly, but it's so simple. I also really vouch for the Sakk too. That is a game changer to me and how I shoot. I ended up not having the Sakk on me on that Detroit shoot for a full day because it got left onto the truck that trailered in the cars where I'd put my gear, and I had to fly in, and it just like got left, and I didn't have for the day, and I had to shoot with just this Cine version, which was still preferable than just holding handheld or the smaller rig that I have, which I said I would talk about in a second. But bottom line is I have other rigging options for my other Canon that's not just on a Ronin. I'll put it on that rig, and it sucks by comparison. It just does. It's fumbly. It's not as balanced. This is way better. It's just a way better, easy solution. But when I went without the Sakk for that whole day, man, the entire time, every time I picked up the camera, I was wishing that I had my Sakk. All right, like that thing, the Cine saddle, whatever you want to get, doesn't matter. But if you haven't shot with one, it's pretty addictive. It's so quick to take on and off. You could get an easy rig. It is a different thing, though. An easy rig is awesome. It's way more expensive. Takes time to put it on. It's something else that you have to pack. the Sakk saddles, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that thing, it's a pillow. You could just take it on the plane as a pillow. I mean, it's just so easy to transport. It's quick to throw on or take off. You can slide it, sling it around your back. You can take it off, throw it on the ground, put your camera on top of it. It's such an easy, elegant, simple solution, and it takes the weight out of your shoulders. Your shots get more stable. You can pitch it up higher onto your chest, let the camera sit there so you're more at head height. There are times for taller people I still have to just give it away, sling it around the back, which I can do quickly, and get it more up on my shoulder so I can get up higher to be at more of an eye level with the person. But that is not all the time, and a lot of the shooting that I do is from a lower angle because I think in general that's more cinematic and makes things look bigger. A lot of the over the shoulder the whole time feels very News at 11, so I don't want it on my shoulder the whole time. A lot of people that use easy rigs, it's still sitting here. You can get that with the Cine saddle or Sakk or whatever. So that combination is amazing to me. Do whatever you want. That's my 10-month review / year review because it sounded better on the title. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Movie Voice.